Flash flooding has inundated parts of eastern Victoria, impacting as many as 100 homes after record-breaking rainfall. 2 emergency flood warnings remain in place and thousands of residents have been asked to evacuate their homes. Our reporters are standing by in the Gippsland region and at the State Emergency Control Centre. First to Georgia Simpson, who's out on the ground. Georgia, explain for us where you are and what's happening there.
Ash, we're into Namba at the moment. It's a really small dairy farming community. It has a population of about 500 people. And you can see behind me that this water has come straight through here. This was even more water in this area before. Neighbouring to Namba West and Yuri also flooded earlier today thanks to the Macalister River. So that evacuation order remains current. The word from authorities is it is not yet safe to return. But you can see behind me the efforts locals have gone to try and protect their businesses. The Namba General Store there, quite a bit of sandbagging going on and all up that street. And then if you turn around behind us, you can just see how deep the water still is when you compare it to that sign with a bike on it over there. So a bit of water around. It is starting to recede. You can see the farmland as well has been inundated. That paddock just looks like a giant lagoon, and the SES crews up there still turning cars away because they haven't been in to assess the area yet. So quite a dynamic situation here, Ash. We did speak to the CFA captain earlier today, and he noted that it has been a big few days for people in this part of Victoria, in this East Gippsland region. Only at the start of the week and over the weekend they were fighting those out of control bushfires. And now, of course, we've had this flooding situation. The CFA captain did say, though, as always, it's the community spirit that pulls everyone through when things like this happen.
The local communities really chipped in and really got in and helped sandbag and really punched above their weight. We've gone from having fires and extreme fire days and that, and now we've moved into flood.
There's quite a bit going on with this flooding situation here in the towns of Namba West and Yuri. Obviously, a lot of it's from the Macalister River, but the Lake Glen Maggie has been doing releases, about 56,000 megalitres a day. So, of course, that is really impacting things, and locals are starting to sort of question authorities and the decision-making process around that. So we will bring you more on that when we do have more information. As well, though, authorities have noticed that the water has been moving differently this time. This is because a lot of dairy farmers sold up in this region in recent times, and a lot of vegetable farms have moved in. That means the landscape is flatter, and there's obviously also different irrigation systems going on, so that has made the water move a bit differently.
It's actually acting a bit differently to what it has in the past, and it's pushing more towards Newry Township and affecting them more than what it has us.
So definitely a dynamic and moving situation, Ash. You can see that there is still plenty of water around. However, it does appear to be receding. The roads in this area are still closed despite those cars driving through before. But the message to people is just to listen to those advice warnings and to stay on top of the information that authorities are putting out to these local communities.
Georgia, thank you. We'll keep in touch with you throughout the afternoon and see how things develop there. Let's take you live to Holly Stearns. She's at the State Control Centre. Holly, what's the latest advice that we're getting from emergency services?
Well, the advice is changing by the hour, but the focus now very much centres around people getting out of those evacuated areas safely, Ash, and onto higher ground. At the moment, we currently have 2 flood warnings, and that includes the Macalister River as well as the Mitchell River too. Now, the concern is not so much about the rainfall that's coming today and the flood waters there. It's about those overflow catchments that are spilling out onto surrounding suburbs. Now, let's bring up on the screen where has been evacuated. People living in these regions here have been urged to get out of there immediately. That includes Bellbird Corner, Mewburn Park, Newry, Riversley, Namba West and surrounding areas there as well. Now, as I mentioned, the rain has eased for today, but the main concern is those overflow catchments. But SES David Baker, he says, though, that the minimal rainfall today will be a really positive sign for emergency services that are trying to help people in the area.
The big tap in the sky has been turned off, which is great news for us for the immediate situation. But these are about downflows from Lake Glen Maggie through the Macalister River down through those communities.
The prediction is that this only might last up to 24 hours before the floods do start receding. So hopefully it's not a long time that we have this event.
So far, there has been 234 calls for emergency services for support over the last 24 hours and 33 calls for damage to buildings. There are also numerous warnings out right across the state of Victoria at the moment, predominantly in the Gippsland region across the east coast there. We also know today there are wind warnings, severe wind warnings for the east coast too. So even though the rain has begun to minimise here, we are now bracing for severe winds to hit the coast too. Premier Jacinta Allen, though, says for anyone doing it tough at the moment, there is financial assistance.
If people are experiencing personal hardship, the payments have been activated and encourage people to reach out through the Relief Centre in Sale if they need support.
Now, as Georgia mentioned on the ground there, locals are familiar with these kind of incidences and the protocol when these kind of things happen, but the emergency services here are very much emphasising to the locals in the area to stay out of floodwaters. We know that these regions were only battling fires earlier on in the week, so there will be ash and soil and debris moving through those floodwaters. Ash?
Holly Stearns, thank you.